This episode of Invent America Radio is brought to you by America's Inventor Lady and Home Talk USA. Home Talk is a proud member of the King Broadcasting Network and has been bringing you the best of America's home-based product innovation since 1998.
Broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host Rita Crompton. Discover what's next for new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Mike Rita Crompton talked to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today.
Hello, America, and welcome to Invent America, because America invents. Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, host of Invent America Radio. Normally, I do this first segment with our fearless leader, Michael King, but he had to catch a flight someplace. They didn't have time to fill me in, but we are very lucky that we've got David Streen with us today. He's our industry expert, and Dave has got a ton of products that he's manufacturing in his edgy tool selection. Dave, thank you so much for being with us, first of all, and tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do, and that'll give us a really good idea of why you're here as our industry expert.
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Rita. Yeah, I'm Dave Streen, and I have brought over 100 different products to market, mostly in the industry of paintless dent repair. That's where we take the little dents out of cars and fix hail damage and stuff, and my tools are made for professional use. And so I brought so many tools to market, and I needed a playbook for myself, so I wrote a book about inventing that you can find on Amazon, and shameless plug. But yeah, I love helping inventors.
I'll send you the invoice for that.
Perfect. I love helping inventors, avoid the mistakes that I made, and I think we're all kind of in this together, helping make the world a better place with, solving problems and stuff like that. So,
there's so much going on right now. And, we always talk to inventors about, the variables that we look at between manufacturing here in the U.S. and wherever, whether it's, China or Canada or Mexico, wherever. It's about, the price the consumer is willing to pay for it. So you shop around, you find out, where is that going to be? What do you do? How do you, when you say you brought over 100 products to market, obviously you've dealt with that in the past, and obviously it's new.
Yeah. And it's always changing. And, some of my products are made right here in the United States. Some of them are made overseas. I've got one that uses LEDs. And so that's, there's one manufacturer in the world that specializes in that kind of thing and stuff. So I think with the tariffs and all that, we're seeing reshuffling a little bit of people looking for other solutions and going to other countries and bringing things back home and all that stuff. So there is a big shuffling of that. It doesn't affect most of my tools because of how I run my operations. I try to stock up on years worth, and they're all what I call pocket items. So they're really, really tiny and stuff. But I have some bigger products that I'm in development right now that I'm actually getting ready to order the prototypes and stuff. And the tariffs are definitely helping shift the decisions on which manufacturing we're going to go with.
You say that, they're small products. Give us an example. All right. First of all, where do people go to find your tools if you've got consumer? You said most of them are professional, but, edgytools.com?
Yes, edgytools.com, EDGY, like you're edgy, haven't had your coffee yet. And and most of, like I say, most of them, I call them pocket items because they fit in your pocket. And I do that for a couple reasons. One is space that the professional technicians have in their trucks are limited. So keeping things from being bulky is definitely an advantage to the end user. But also I get them shipped to me. I get them shipped to my fulfillment center, and shipping to the end customer. All of that is greatly reduced in warehouse space and everything else. So I purposely try to design everything small tools that make a huge impact is what I like to say.
So when we look, when we look at inventors who are they're making decisions. I mean, the Inventor business model is full of decisions, and most of them have got, a very shallow pocket when it comes to mistakes, as far as what they can afford to make mistakes financially and then be able to fix. What are some of the mistakes that you made and you learned, don't do this again?
So I would say, just because you can develop something doesn't mean you should. Try and bet on the best horses. For a while, then that's why I got up to 100 different products in the market. I think if I would do it over, I'd rather have 5 huge winners than 100 that all do well. It just spreads you thinner and thinner and thinner. So I think really evaluating, just because it's a great idea doesn't mean you should do it necessarily. So being way more cautious and slow to pull the trigger on different things. And then I would also say knowing the end result a little better. Now I've developed so many things that I almost know what the end cost is going to be, and what I can charge to the end consumer. And so not developing stuff, and I used to waste all this time going all the way through CAD drawings and 3D, renderings and 3D printing and, samples and all of this, to realize that we couldn't manufacture it for a reasonable cost to the end consumer. So if it wasn't going to sell, the product was dead. I wish I would have known that at the beginning versus at the, near the finish line. So those are some of the lessons I've kind of learned that I'd like to pass along.
Yeah, we've learned that lesson in some ways. It's like, all right, how much material does it take to make a new plastic bucket? Well, don't make the whole bucket, just make a rim that fits around the top of it, because nobody wants to spend the money on a mold anymore that makes a whole new bucket that organizes it the way that you envision. And it's like, okay, well, that just made those prototypes a lot cheaper.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Very good.
And so what, when you look at how did you anticipate what was coming? I would say, you said, there at a panic attack, a lot of people went out and hurried up and made quick orders when when President Trump got elected, because they kind of saw this, if they were paying attention, saw it was going to be coming. In the process of what you've learned, Dave, what kind of information can you give to someone that's saying, all right, I've got inventory stuck on the dock in China. What do they do?
So I'm not sure I can give expertise there, but and I'd love to say that I had this magical foresight and knew all this stuff was coming and stuff. I don't. So what I do, and what I'd like to point out, is the inventor brain is a little different than the entrepreneurial brain, and a lot of times they're at odds and whatever. And so for me personally, I don't like the operations of my business. I love to come out with new products and stuff. I don't like reordering and inventory and all the stuff that keeps the boat rowing, if you will. And so what I did was said, well, I don't want to be reordering product every few months and whatever as I'm going out and always having out of stocks and everything. So I just upped my minimum order quantity. I would order thousands instead of hundreds, knowing that eventually, 5, 6 years down the road, I'm going to sell through them and whatever. And that way I don't have to touch that product again, for 5 to 10 years. And so I'm thinking long term with that. And yeah, it ties up some capital, in the short term, but I also get so much better rates on that product that it wins overall. And so I kind of have a different strategy, and that's what allowed me to not really worry about the next 4 years or whatever, comes our way.
Good for you. I know when I talk to inventors about getting pricing, it's like, don't get pricing on an order of 500. Get pricing on an order of 5,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's that number that now makes you competitive. And, even if you only order the 500, your pricing, you're going to take, you take a hit in the early days, but you get down to that point now where you've got a, reasonable consumer price.
And great advice, great advice. And yeah, whenever I request PIs, perform invoices, I generally ask for 3 different quantities. I'll get a low, a mid, and a high where I'm stretching, and I'll see. And sometimes, I'm saving pennies to go 10 times the inventory, and sometimes I'm saving half the price. And so based on that, I'll decide how many I'm going to order. That's an exercise I do almost every time I order anything.
And that's really good, because so often the inventors, well, this is how much it's costing me. It's like, no, 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 you can't do it that way. You've got to look at what will the consumer pay for it.
Yeah,
And for
yeah,
some, it's a matter of redesigning it. There's a
yeah,
big difference between the prototype, like you said, you make the prototype, and then the manufacturer's prototype,
yeah.
and then being able to say, okay, this is where you're going to get it to the consumer and stuff. So anyway, stick with us, America. We're going to be back with a couple of inventors who are going through these steps and learning the process. And then we'll be back with Dave at the end of the hour to wrap it all up. So stick with us while we go and pay some bills. We will be right back. Thanks everybody for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America invents. We are infamous for seeing a problem and fixing a problem, and that fix is frequently called an invention. And we go after a patent for it and get it into the marketplace as quickly as we can. So our segment is brought to you by Bond Products. It is a DIY product for carpet binding. If you've got any kind of carpeting or rugs that become frayed, all right, it is Bond Products that you will use to fix it, and it can actually be removed. So bondproducts.com. My next guest is Duane Genzlinger. I have known Duane for many years now. He has got two products with his partner. I don't want to forget Jerry out there. And their company is called Hammer Scale Homes. They are in the Denver, Colorado area, and they go out and remodel, turn homes into beautiful works of art. And in that process, they invented a couple of new products. And they got a third one out there that I keep saying, get it done, get it done. But anyway, Duane, thanks so much for being with us today. You know I never give up on you.
Well, I know you don't. Thank you for having me.
All right. So we've got the box slider and the snapper. So tell our listeners, what is the box slider and what is the snapper?
Well, the snapper is a one-person chalk box. It's it's designed for arm length chalking with a spring load on the chalk box itself. So you don't need that third person to come over and snap the line. You can do it yourself. And now we're working on one that's going to be a little longer with like 50-foot of line. And the box slider is a device that moves the receptacle or switch over inside the box. So you could get up to a ½ inch, so you don't have to cut the plate, where the trim becomes too big and it hits the wall or goes into a corner. You can move that over, and the plate doesn't have to be cut that way. So that's the two items.
Well, for any husband out there who's had a wife that said, no, honey, I want you to use this one, and he can say, oh, for goodness sakes, now I get to go out and I can get the box slider, because now I don't have to cut and break the plate and electrocute myself. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So which is illegal to cut plates anyway. They say that code wise, but I've cut probably hundreds of them, and then they explode, and and they look bad. Where this, you move it over far enough, and you don't have to cut them.
Well, that's
like
great.
It was planned that way.
I know your videos are wonderful, and it's like, that makes perfect sense. Why someone didn't come up with something like that decades ago, no idea. But you and Jerry are credited with that invention. Make life better, make life safer, less people, causing shortages and electrocutions and fires. That's always a good sign.
I was walking down the hall, and this electrician was pulling all the drywall out and putting a block behind the box to get it over far enough. And look at all that damage. I had to get a drywaller, a painter, all that had to come back after him. This way, the electrician can do it all in one shot, and there's no aftermath. So it works out a lot better.
It does. So you guys, you can sell product. How are you dealing with this manufacturing thing?
Well, right now we're 3D printing it, so we're needing to get a mold made so we can mass produce them on both products. Actually, as far as our inventory, I'm selling them as a 3D printing right now, but I could sell them a lot cheaper if they were in a mold, injection molding.
Right. But 3D printing for, some products really makes sense that it never used to. And certainly for an inventor, the 3D prototyping and then those early stage of productions, it really gives you a chance to test the market and find out what the demand is.
Well, it does. I mean, if I'd spent 10 grand for a mold and it doesn't work, it's kind of, I can make it midstream on 3D printing. I just change it on the computer and go right back and make a new product. So it helps a lot.
There's actually some companies now that will do 3D printing in metal. And some of it is just because some of that big equipment out there, you don't want to have to buy a whole new $250,000 machine when the part you need is, $2,000 and you can 3D print it.
That's exact. Yeah, right. We're still 3D printing the snapper as well, but that's expensive to do that. When I can get a mold, once we get a finished product, then I can cut that price probably in half.
So the tariffs right now have not really impacted you because you guys haven't gone overseas to have the mold made.
No, we haven't. No, we're still 3D printing here in the United States.
Right.
In Colorado, actually.
Yes. So have you looked at doing anything internationally yet?
Yeah, we have, and we were talking to the guy that you said went to China. I don't remember who that was that you were talking about, and we haven't heard anything back on that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was the gentleman from Tolson Tools, Neil from Tolson Tools.
Yes.
And when I heard back from him, he said, not right now. Nothing is happening right now until we figure out where these tariffs are going to go. So, yes, he has still got, the snapper and the box slider, was very interested in both of those products.
Yeah.
And it's just, kind of counting down and seeing what happens.
Not good timing.
Well, not so bad timing as compared to the folks that have got products sitting there and don't know when they're going to be able to get it to the States. So not pulling the trigger at this point has probably been a good idea, because I know that some of them are going to be going and looking at, manufacturing now in other countries.
Well,
one of the things one of my guys said to me is like, well, let's just ship it to Taiwan and then import it from there. And it's like, oh, holy cow. Nope. Everybody's going to end up in jail. Can't do that. Don't want to be doing anything like that. Don't want any agents knocking at your door.
We don't need that.
No, everybody, deep breath. We're going to wait and see how this goes.
I hear you.
So it's, it's always interesting to see what's coming, what's going. And right now we are going to go and pay some bills. Duane, thanks so much for being with us today. Stay with us, America, because we will be right back with another great inventor. Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for being with us today. Our segment is brought to you by TrimSlab. It is the best product out there when you need to replace rotten or missing wood. It's often found in our sidewalks, decks, driveways. This installs incredibly fast. It looks great, and it can be removed if you need to. TrimSlab.com. So thanks for being with us, America. You know, we do Invent America because America invents. And when we see a problem, we fix it. That's what inventing is all about. Right, Christy?
Right.
So Chrissy Henderson and her husband invented Gear Trakr. Gear not like in the gears of your car, but in the gears that your children, the gear that your children take and drop and leave everywhere. And you know, you've gone to manufacturing because you've got a website, you're selling product. Today we're talking a little bit about, you know, the issue that a lot of inventors are facing right now with manufacturing. So what are you looking at? What do you see? You've got inventory right now. Have you gotten any pricing on new shipments?
We have not. We're going and getting rid of our current selection that we have remaining, but it's definitely a concern. We used to try and order as low as possible, just to keep that cost low. Well, now it's obviously it's going up. So what does that look like for us in the future? Is that going to involve, you know, maybe changing manufacturing? It just kind of opens a door that we haven't prepared for.
How did you
Yeah.
pick your manufacturer? How did you decide?
Well, price, obviously, and then per unit, and overall cost, because ours come in a pack of 10, so we wanted to keep costs low, for our buyers. And then just, ease of making and who mass produces the most. So, yeah.
It's challenging right now. I mean, it certainly is. We've got
Yes.
inventors who are kind of going back and forth, and we're trying to provide them with options so they can take a look and say, okay, you know,
Yes.
yeah, price per unit is going to be a little bit more here, but the failure rate is going to be less. You know,
Correct.
making here is
And
going to be a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to pay for shipping and tariffs
quality.
right now. Yes.
Quality control is much better. We had a lot of quality issues with it overseas, and so that, you know, maybe an improvement and a less of a stressor for us. So there's a lot of open boxes that we have to look at and determine what is our best option. Yeah.
So when did you, from the time you said, okay, let's do this. All right, let's figure out how, you know, tell our audience what it is you invented so that when we're talking about it, it makes sense.
Sure. So we invented a smart tag app system. Our daughter was constantly losing her things. She was in elementary school at the time. And so I wanted a way, I'm like, we're not the only parents that are dealing with this. You know, what can we do to improve and solve this problem? And so we came up with, we were debating on what technology out there would be best to utilize, and then develop an app to go with it so that the parents or the schools can, or whoever finds it, can immediately scan the tag, and it'll tell them, you know, the children's information. So if they find my daughter's jacket on the floor, they can easily scan it, and they can say Nora, 3rd grade, Mrs. Smith is the teacher, and then they can just go and return it. Now, if somebody outside finds it, they can also immediately contact us. They can text us, they could email us, and then it also gives an instant notification to us, letting us know that, you know, her jacket's been found. If it's an organization that finds it, it'll even tell us the organization's name, like be it, you know, the school, or, you know,
The
if she's
golf
at a
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the golf course, if you've got
Or the
somebody that
golf
left
course,
their
'cause-
their golf club laying on one of the
Yeah,
tees,
because
and it's
we
like,
included the
okay.
ability, yep, we included a golf tag, and of course tags for other sports equipment. And so that way, if your kids are at an outing somewhere, it can tell the other organization's name. They don't even need to contact you. You can just go and pick it up then.
It's
You
wonderful.
know,
It's kind of the reverse idea of putting you know, a chip into your, you know, your pet, or, you know, the belongings or whatever, which is rather expensive. Now you tag it, and the finder is the one that notifies you that they found it.
yes. And then you can get a quick return, nothing's lost. And it's not expensive. We wanted to keep it affordable for everybody so that you can cover all your kids' winter gear or, all their sports equipment and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's great.
And that's what I find is fascinating is that it's, reasonably priced. You can tag a whole bunch of things. And it's like when I went into with my grandson and it was a, presentation night. And the first thing you saw when you went in the front door was the table of all of the lost and found. I swear they only do project night for parents and kids. So the parents will come into the school and look for all of their kids' lost items.
Right? There's so
Yeah.
many. Some schools have rooms full. And it's
I
like, what do you
know.
do with all of that? And it's expensive stuff.
Yeah.
So, to replace that.
Imagine the lost and found at the airport. And now, the airport personnel have got the app for you and somebody leaves their stuff. They go, oh, look, a Gear Trakr, tag. And they can let you know that they've got it. You can come in and pick it up.
They scan it. It'll literally tell me such and such airport has your luggage or your bag or whatever you label your item as.
So anyway, back to my question then. How long from, let's see if we can do this to actual product to sell?
How long from
your idea to having product to sell? How long was the process of getting through, the patenting and the prototyping and everything?
They told us 9 months for the app. That took 2 years.
Yeah.
Because we were very particular and we had to go over everything with a fine tooth comb. And then patenting, we did the is it provisional? Initially? Yep. And went and did and put that kind of on as a cover for the year where we were waiting for the app to get done. And with manufacturing, that went really quick and easy until we realized that they had problems. They didn't use the right backing for the sticker, so it wasn't, going with the curve of the golf club quite correctly with that application. So we had to nail that down, reorder, all kinds of those kinds of issues. But overall, I would say 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's about average.
This is our first rodeo, so we learned a lot.
You do learn a lot, and it is not an easy road. It's filled with gravel and potholes. So one of the things that inventors, I think, we always used to laugh and say that, the inventor's business plan was have idea, get patent, make money, buy island. And it just doesn't quite work that way.
No.
It's a tough road to be able to get from that I have an idea, you go through the patent process and our feeling, you don't need a patent to go to market, but you need a patent to say this is mine and you can't do it. So we feel that they are still a very important tool.
Correct.
And you go through that and then the manufacturing, the prototyping, the manufacturing, does it really work the way we think it's supposed to work? You go back and forth with that a little bit, but marketing is a whole mountain in itself.
Oh my gosh, nobody tells you about marketing.
Yeah.
And you think it'll be easy with all the social media, but it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
It's because people still don't know to go look for you.
Right.
You have to tell them you're there.
We're out there.
you got to tell them you're there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
So what have you guys found that was your favorite go-to marketing? What worked the best for you? It might not have been your favorite. It can be a real pain in the neck, but what worked the best?
I would say Facebook and Instagram. But TikTok works really well too, but it's hard to learn all three. They tell you right out, don't tackle everything at once. Learn one because it's crazy.
It is. You've got to, learn and then go on and do what you can.
And then you got to try and trust somebody else to do it so that you can do other things. And I haven't come fully to that circle yet, learning to let go.
Well, yeah, I know, a good invention's like a child. You conceive it, you nurture it, it sucks you dry, you throw it out. And until you throw it out, it will not grow up and be big and take care of you. So what we look at then is how do we get through those phases and what are you good at doing as the inventor? And then what do you need to hand off to someone else because they're going to be better at it than you. So anyway, we are going to need to go and run and pay some bills. Christy, thank you so much for being on. We will have you on again because we're looking at licensing this product. And we will be right back with Dave and kind of wrap up this interesting topic of Where and when do you start manufacturing? So stick with us, America. We will be right back. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us this afternoon for this segment of Invent America, and it is brought to you by Liberty Tabletop, Sherrill Manufacturing. It is America's only flatware made in the U.S., so for all of your flatware, dinnerware, cookware, and glassware, think of Liberty Tabletops, libertytabletops.com. And, you know, we've had some interesting swings into the marketing area, which is just huge for inventors. Market is expensive. You know, I don't know any inventor who can start out with, you know, TV ads, even if it is on, you know, the streaming network. So Dave, what did you do to let people know you're there?
So, well, the big joke was my buddy asked me when I first started my tool company how I was going to let the industry know. And it's such a tight little industry that I said, I'm just going to let one professional vent guy know about it and tell him to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
And so luckily word of mouth spreads pretty fast. I find that humor and making jokes and stuff, like if I'm having fun with my marketing, the end consumer's having fun reading it. And that helps my sales a lot and stuff, but that's kind of my brand with Edgy. So we do a lot of innuendos and silly stuff, and the guys working on the cars love it, and then they tend to share it and stuff like that. So just like with any business, I think word of mouth is your number one way to go. And then just like she just said, like pick one platform and master it versus trying to be on 10 different places and dabbling. You'll get way better results going deep with the one. So. And then knowing the one where your clients, where your potential customers are hanging out, you know, if you're, you know,
it makes a difference.
yeah,
You know, when you go and look at the difference between LinkedIn, Facebook, Etsy, you know, all the different ones. There's so many different ones, and you're right, they've got different followings. And you know, you want to be on the one that makes the most sense for you, all right, with tools as opposed to kitchen gadgets.
Yeah. And I had to do a big shift because for years, like 95% of my sales came from Facebook. And now the younger techs are all on Instagram instead of Facebook. So I've had to transition there. And then, you know, I have some companies that help me with my social media. My daughter does some stuff on Instagram and those kind of TikTok and those kind of platforms. I'm still pretty heavy on Facebook. So we kind of have it covered and surrounded, if you will. And it's kind of fascinating that when I think I'm doing really good with my marketing, it's not necessarily the case. So when I put really good analytics on my website, I found out that I would run an ad for one of my products and the ad would work. I'd get a sale, but they'd be clicking on that just to get to the website easily because it reminded them of something that I had already planted the seed that they wanted. So you need to show the person. We often feel like we're spamming our customers and they're seeing it all the time. With the social media algorithms and stuff, they're usually not anymore. So you might post it 20 times and think, oh, people are getting sick of my stuff. Most people still haven't even seen it once. And if they have, it hasn't stuck. So be repetitive, be episodic with your marketing. Just because it's stale for us because we're doing it so often doesn't mean the other person's sick of it or anything. So that'd be my advice is consistency.
That's true. I mean, when you look at, you know, your own social media, all right, so you've got time on Tuesday morning, you go do it. You've got time on Thursday nights, you go do it. But if you happen to then miss someone's post, now you catch it at another time. and they've only seen it once. Like you said, they've only seen it once, and that's when they say, oh, let me go check this out. I know we do that for a lot of our inventors with their products. And, we could have posted it and we get new people that see it all the time because we're posting at different days, different times, different platforms.
Yeah, yeah. And we don't always jump immediately. We see it and we just make a mental note. Oh yeah, I want to go back and check that out later or something. And so you need to be repetitive so that they see it. And again, like they might, just remember, oh, I want that, product A, and then they see an ad for product C and they click on that to go buy product A because they knew they wanted it already. So we're so distracted and spread thin that you need to be consistent and keep it in front of mind. So.
Oh, I know. And it's so easy. We are so inundated with information. It's easy to forget.
Yeah.
And, for our younger listeners out there, it's like your day's coming, honey. The older you get, the more you forget. So, yeah. So we do notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always try to always remind everybody that it's social media. So it should be social. You don't want it ad, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. I'd say like 1 or 2 posts for every 5 should be buy my product. Like I try and do a lot of educational stuff, a lot of helpful stuff, a lot of funny stuff. And then, by the way, here's this product kind of thing. So keep it spread out so that you're not just burning your client and everybody's leaving.
Well, and I always tell the inventors, it's like, get other people using your product. Get testimonials on how cool it is, old, young, male, female, different settings of using the product. Those variety 20-second demos of your product can do more than you're giving a sales pitch.
Yeah, brilliant. Third-party endorsements. If I say my product's great, I'm just bragging and I'm obviously biased. If 3 other people say my product's great, now it's, seems more true. So.
And your mother doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly.
I always tell people, it's like, all right, you've had 5 people tell you how wonderful your product is and they were all related over Mother's Day dinner. Doesn't count.
Yeah. And I always screenshot everything and kind of repurpose it. So like if somebody texts me, hey Dave, I'm loving this product, I'll take a screenshot of that, share it on social media and say, man, I love getting, waking up to texts like these, and stuff. And so those are the advertising air quotes that, work the best. They might not necessarily be an advertisement talking about the features and benefits of the product. It's somebody else saying they love it.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for being our industry expert. We are always grateful to have you on the show. America, thanks so much for being with us and for listening. And if you want to see some of the cool new products out there, go to our website, inventamericaradio.com, and that is where you will find the list of the cool new products. And we need you, consuming America, to go out there and buy those cool new products. So be with us again next week when we'll be back with a new set of inventors. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We will be back next week with more stories on getting products from mind to market. We will have new inventors and industry experts. So join us and have a wonderful week.